Welcome into Season 43, Episode 22. Later on here, we're going to have a special guest join us and do a summer movie review of some movies that are coming out. It will be with Adam Holz, so you do not want to miss that, but we want to make sure you are aware of what is going on at Harvest Church this week. We welcome to our pulpit on Sunday morning, June the 1st. If you're listening on Harvest Radio, it is June the 1st, and you need to get ready to go to church today. We have Sunday morning, we've got Brother Justin Lewis going to be preaching with us for us in our 10 a.m. service. Tonight, we do have pre-service prayer at 4. Evening Sunday school Bible study time is at 5 o'clock. Monday is Celebrate Recovery at 7 o'clock. Tuesday night, the third family prayer is at 7 p.m., and then we have Wednesday night, another guest speaker that will be with us. Brother Derek Floyd from Henderson, Tennessee, will be preaching on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Ladies' prayer is on Thursday morning at 10 a.m. If you want to know more about our church, go to the website, harvesthumboldt.com. Coming up next, Adam Holz joins us by phone to talk over some summer movie review. We are joined today by Mr. Adam Holz, who is longtime director and now editor of Plugged In, with focus on the family's entertainment and technology review website. He is also the host, if you are not tuned in to his weekly podcast, The Plugged In Show, where they talk to parents about navigating the intersection of media and screen use from a biblical worldview perspective. And Adam, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, sir. Appreciate you taking time for us today.
You bet, Seth. Thanks for talking to me today.
We've got some pretty big things to talk about. Most of us enjoy some downtime with entertainment, but as we've talked about before, we have to be careful, and folks like you that do some research for us help us protect the home, and we're looking forward to what you've got for us today. There's some new movies coming out in the summer. If you're waiting for it to come out in streaming platforms, it'll be later on, but we've got some new things that are coming out. Adam, I'll let you take them in the order you want to go in.
Yeah, each summer we love to give people a preview of what's coming. Now, we haven't seen these movies yet,
okay,
but almost all of them are sequels, reboots, prequels, some kind of a series where we've seen enough in the past to have a pretty good idea of what to expect. And
sure.
I would say when it comes to big movies that families might be interested in, we get two broad categories that have really quite a lot of similarities, Seth.
Okay.
We've got the big action blockbuster movies. Those include your science fiction and superhero types. Those are almost all rated PG-13.
Yeah.
And then we've got stuff that is aimed more at a younger audience. So which of those categories would you like to tackle first? Should we hit the kids' movies first?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that first.
Okay. So on May 23rd, we have a live-action version of Lilo and Stitch coming out. This, of course, was an animated movie back in 2002, and then a TV series, and then it just spawned into a huge franchise. And Lilo and Stitch, if you're not familiar with it, is about a little girl and, for all intents and purposes, her alien dog. I mean, there's a little bit of E.T. here.
Uh-huh.
He looks like an alien. Like, if you look at him close, you're like, oh, that's not quite a dog, but he's close enough that he can pass for a dog if you're not paying too much attention. But he can kind of talk. He's very mischievous, and he gets into lots of trouble. So if you're a fan of that franchise, that might be worth checking out. By the same token, if you had kids that were a fan of the franchise, they may have kids of their own by now, because we're talking like 22 years ago that it first showed up on the scene.
Yeah.
How to Train Your Dragon, of course, has been a hugely popular animated franchise, and now they're taking the first movie on June 13th and turning that into a live action version. So
okay.
I'm not a huge fan in general of these live action translations. It feels like a blatant money grab. But I have to say the trailer for this one looks terrific, and
okay.
It looks really faithful to the original. Probably the movie on the list that people will be the least familiar with is Elio. And Elio is Pixar's new movie. It comes out June 13th, and it is about a very smart 11-year-old boy who is Earth's intergalactic ambassador. So he kind of believes in aliens and has a very active imagination. And it turns out there's this whole galaxy-wide group of planets that have sort of a pseudo government called the Communiverse, and he becomes a part of that.
Okay.
So, Pixar has, I think, hopefully with last year's Inside Out 2, they're kind of back on the right track.
Yeah.
They had a stretch for a while where the movies weren't very good, or they weren't as good, I should say, and really had a lot of progressive messaging. And Disney
Yes.
seems to have maybe backed off of that a notch, but we will be watching that closely to see, where it comes in. And then later this summer, July 18th, we get the Smurfs movie, which is an animated movie starring Rihanna voicing Smurfette. And this is a reboot because Katy Perry had done it before.
Uh-huh.
So they're starting over. We've reached the end of the Smurfs and now hit the reset button. And in the same kind of vein, toward the end of the summer, August 8th, we get Freakier Friday, which those of us of a certain tender age might remember the original one, which came out in 1976. This is the eighth Freaky Friday movie.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's kind of crazy that there have been that many different iterations. I remember two or three, but Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are reprising their roles from the most recent one, I don't know, 15 or 20 years ago. So
Okay.
those are the kids' movies set.
Yeah. Now, what do we expect? I mean, obviously, again, you say you haven't seen this, but what do we
Right.
expect in that eighth Freaky Friday that would make it a new film? Because after a little while of doing these movies, they can all start sounding alike. Is that a fear with this one, or?
Well, I think it is. I mean, I think, honestly, I'm like, who was really laying awake at night hoping that there would be another Freaky Friday movie?
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but it was not me.
Yeah.
And maybe because we've got Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan as older characters, maybe the draw here is what happens when old people switch places,
Yeah.
because before it was like a mother and a daughter, and I think that's still the case, but now they're 25 years older than the last time we saw them. Lindsay Lohan hasn't done much anytime recently, so it may be, her attempt to sort of reestablish, her name recognition with a new audience. But we'll see. I mean, the premise is I don't think it's changed a bit. So they'll have to come up with some other kind of situational comedy to sell that one.
Yeah, and they're saying that the story picks up, like you said, 22 years after the original movie, and they're hoping, I'm guessing, with the return of those cast members from the original film, that maybe they can bring back its splendor of the glory days, I'm guessing.
Well, I'm guessing so. And Jamie Lee Curtis has had a pretty good run recently. She got some recognition for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they're trying to sort of bank on her newfound Hollywood bona fides. But again, to me, it just sort of speaks to the intellectual bankruptcy of Hollywood. I'm like,
It's the truth.
really?
Yeah.
We got to have another Freaky Friday? That's
Yeah.
that's as good as you can do. But the funny thing is, Seth, we often accuse Hollywood of drifting to the left and drifting in risky directions. But
Right.
from a financial point of view, Hollywood is incredibly conservative. They
Okay.
don't like to take risks, and so that's why we see so many sequels. I mean, I think that we have two original intellectual property movies this summer, and the rest are all sequels and franchises. So that's just the world we're living in, unfortunately.
Well, and we can't have it both ways either. We say, you basically vote by what you watch and where
That's
you
right.
spend your monies, and maybe
Yep.
they're starting to notice, hey, we struck out on a few films that had some of these messages in it, and the Christians may have stood up and made a difference after all.
Yeah, I think so. And speaking of that, one movie, and then we'll transition into
Yeah.
sort of the action movies. There is a movie out this weekend called The Last Rodeo, and it stars Neil McDonough as an aging rodeo guy who has been retired for many years,
Okay.
but has a grandson who has a rare form of cancer, and he needs to
Oh.
raise money to pay for his grandson's treatment. It's a nice Christian movie.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit more of an edge, maybe in terms of just a bit more profanity, and
Okay.
I'm talking just a little bit here. So,
Yeah.
by Christian movie standards, any at all is
Sure.
edgy.
Sure.
But that is one that might be aimed at a little bit older audience that is out this weekend. And should I go ahead and talk about like the action movies that
Yeah,
are out
let's do
this
it.
summer?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So the big one coming out next week is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and I guess we'll see if it really is the final reckoning. Although I confess I was doing some research on this, and it dates me a little bit. I couldn't believe that the first Mission Impossible movie came out in 1996. So,
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, Tom Cruise has been doing these things for almost 30 years. And I don't know if this is like his ninth or 10th. I don't know what the count is, but
Yeah.
obviously Tom Cruise is deeply committed to these movies. He does all of these insane stunts, and we're going to get more of that. A lot of action, a lot of violence. And with PG-13 movies, and this will be true of everything that we look at in this category, you're going to get more profanity. And
Okay.
that really is the main issue and the violence that push these into PG-13 territories. And with Marvel movies, Thunderbolts just came out, which had some great messages, but we're seeing that profanity tally creep upward a little bit.
Ah.
And it's sort of the frog in the kettle syndrome. And if you're not sitting there like counting these things as we do, you might not notice it. But if you go back and look at the amount of profanity in some of those earlier Marvel movies, you're like, oh, they're just doing that more than they used to. And of course, the other big Marvel movie coming out this summer is Fantastic Four: First Steps, which comes out July 25th. And of course, the Fantastic Four have been called Marvel's first family. That was really Stan Lee and his artist Jack Kirby's first real foray into superhero-dom, and Spider-Man was right in there too. But
Okay.
a lot of anticipation for this movie. Already some controversy that they gender swapped Silver Surfer for a female,
Oh.
which apparently is a version of Silver Surfer that exists in an alternate universe. And this is a Fantastic Four story set in an alternate universe. So we'll have to see what they do with it. But already some of the comic book faithful are frustrated that they made that choice. So that's been kind of the buzz around that. And then
Okay.
the other two really big action movies coming out this summer are Jurassic World Rebirth.
Okay.
So again, if one night, if your brain was wandering and you thought, man, why hasn't Scarlett Johansson done a Jurassic Park movie yet? Hey, now she's doing one. So
Yeah.
she plays kind of a mercenary character who has to protect some scientists who are trying to get blood samples from the meanest dinosaurs. That looks like the play here. And apparently we haven't run the Jurassic franchise into the ground yet because they're still making these movies.
My little guy's
and-
looking forward to hopefully seeing that one at some point. But now they
Yep.
are disappointed that Chris Pratt is not in this one.
Chris Pratt is not in this one. So if you're looking for Blue and you're looking for everybody's favorite Velociraptors,
Yeah.
sorry, he's not going to be there. And speaking of rebooting things, we have another Superman movie.
Yeah.
And Superman's been around since 1937. This time around, James Gunn is the director in charge. If you're not, again, a total comic book nerd, he was the guy behind the Guardians of the Galaxy movies in the Marvel Universe. And he is now running the entire DC Universe reboot. And they're starting that over again, too. So everything is suggesting that this is really maybe a return to form in terms of, Superman being the character, protecting everything that we know that he protects and being that fundamentally good character. They've kind of darkened him up over the last 20 years or so. So we will see. And if you've seen the trailer, his dog Crypto is in the movie. And frankly, I'm more excited about Crypto than I am about Superman.
Yeah.
But I expect, all of those action movies that I just talked about are PG-13. So you can expect that blend of violence and
Yeah.
language. That's what we got. That's the summer, really.
Now, you was talking about Superman, and I've read some comments that say that there may be a little bit of change with the costume. Have you seen that with Superman's costume?
Yeah, I think they've adjusted it a little bit. I mean, they always make some of those sort of stylistic changes. And
Sure.
again, it's sort of like a Rorschach test for nerddom, right? You know
Okay.
that you know that you're a nerd if you get upset about these things.
That's right.
Because the rest of the world doesn't notice and doesn't care. And full disclosure, I am one of those nerds. So I don't speak critically. I get it. We don't like our stories being messed with.
Yeah.
But I'm actually really looking forward to it. I think everything we've seen so far looks like a pretty good movie.
And it says something about the returning of some different camera styles as well, maybe returning more to the original style stuff like you're saying. So hopefully, everything's kind of reverting back to when we used to watch things as kids,
That's right. And I read some interest really going back to the original Superman movie with Christopher Reeve.
Uh-huh.
And people just saying, here's all the things they got right with that. People might want to take notes. And I think James Gunn has actually done some of that.
We're talking to Adam Holz, who is married with 3 teens and a feisty dog living in Colorado Springs. He always is so generous with his time to join us and talk about upcoming films that are coming out. And obviously, as the school year is ending, there will be more time for people to spend in entertainment. And Adam, I know this is near and dear to your heart, and I'll let you close with kind of this. But obviously, we are not promoting, the screen being the babysitter and that kind of thing. How do families find that balance in the summertime? Because that's challenging.
Oh boy, it is challenging, and I think what it demands of us as parents is just being really engaged, right? Sir. And we all work hard and we get tired, and it's easy to just sort of let your kids go free range on their screens. I think balancing that screen time really is about helping them, monitoring their activities and brainstorming and helping them to really engage with things that are not screen oriented. Yeah. And I think one of the things we've asked our teens is, hey, what would you really like to accomplish this summer? At the end of the summer, what would you love to look back and say, I spent some good time doing this instead of being on TikTok? And I think that transfers some of the agency and motivation to them, that it's not just mom and dad being the big bad policeman, but hey, let's really think together about how we can best invest our time as a family, and then working to do that together.
Sounds good. Adam Holz with Focus on the Family, and also check out their weekly podcast, Plugged In, with Focus on the Family's entertainment and technology review website as well. Adam, as always, great job, and appreciate you joining us today.
You bet. Thank you, Seth.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that conversation there with Adam Holz. And if you want to know more about our church, go to the website harvesthumboldt.com. Our telephone number is 731-784-2246. You can also email us at harvesthumboldt@gmail.com. Our physical address for you to come and worship with us, or you can also use it as a mailing address if you would like to drop us a note and tell us about the podcast and what you're enjoying. That address is 3401 Bledsoe Road in Humboldt, Tennessee, 38343. Join us next week as we talk about keeping the thorn out of your spirit. Until then, God bless. Hope you have a great week.